Greetings. Welcome to all the listeners. I want to apologize for this late start. We said we'd start at 4 p.m. But technology work. Oh man, what a week! What a week in the life and journey of the Jamaican people. Yeah. But before we get into that, I want to remind the listeners that if you want to know when we are broadcasting, like and love and share our website channel, which is Waterhouse Vibes. You can get to that via YouTube. I don't want to talk much today, because I wake up this Sunday thinking to be happy and nice. Today is my daughter's birthday. But while that is true, I also look at the Gleaner today and I look at the headline. And the foreign minister say Rattigan has no standing to file something in the local courts against her. Bro, I'm not sure what them people are doing now, but this has some far-reaching implication. If that is the case, where they're going to say a man from Waterhouse, born and raised at Waterhouse, now live overseas after getting his training and what, has no standing to file something in the court against her. I have some questions, but before we get into that, I have with me my co-host, Brother Rattigan. Ratty, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, Nita, everything good, man. Blessed Sunday, brethren.
Everything good. I would say the same thing. You have a nice coverage in the Sunday paper on the front page. Alongside the goodly minister. You call her the minister or the minister? Which one is it?
I don't know. You have to ask her which one.
For the minister or the minister.
Aye.
But tell me something, Rattigan. Personally, as a man from Waterhouse, born and grew up Kingston, and what you and I and many others experienced in Jamaica, how you feel that this woman is saying to you, you have no standing? And I ask you that question, because I have some questions for the politician them. How you feel? How that you feel personally? Say somebody's saying that to you.
It depends. Without going into the nitty-gritty of it, there are two ways to look at it. One is the lawsuit was filed by me on behalf of the Diaspora, as well as people in Jamaica, right? Because we all have an interest in good governance. Now, according to the civil procedure rules of New York, when you file Jamaica, when you file something like that, it has to get, if you file for a class, for example, more than 5 people, then you have to get some affidavits and you have to get some, you have to get the court to kind of to say, okay, fine, and basically certify you as a representative for the class. Now, the issue with that is addressed by another rule in the Civil Procedure Act, and basically that rule says that if you have fewer than 5 people, then you don't need none of that. None of the other rules apply to you. And there's another rule that says if you did what I did, then at the very first hearing, which happened Monday, you can make a submission to the court that, listen, I want to amend the complaint, and a complaint is amended at the very first hearing, right? There's also another rule in the same Civil Procedure Act that says if you name a party that shouldn't be named in a lawsuit, it doesn't dispose of your lawsuit, right? So if the idea is that, well, he filed on behalf of himself, the diaspora and Jamaicans living in Jamaica, and he didn't follow the rules, then the case is not dismissed because of that, because I would still have an interest, right? They would say, okay.
Yeah, and I ask you that's in a Rattigan. I know that.
No, but me explain to people why. No, me explain to people
okay,
why.
okay.
Me explain so that they understand. And so what
Okay.
happened is that at the first hearing, what we did, the very first thing my lawyer said, milady, we want to amend the complaint and strike Diaspora off of it, strike Jamaica off of it. So we have one complainant, Mr. Rattigan, and therefore the issue is cured. No problems after that, because it's if you have fewer than 5 people, then that's fine. So I don't know how come they come now and make this statement now, and they've been in contact with the reporter since Monday, and I don't know why is it that this is still why this is an issue. That's if that's what they're looking at. The second point, when I said that's it, meaning that if you're looking at the rules saying that he didn't do it, right, he didn't comply. The second point now, which I think you want to get at, is he lives overseas, so then he shouldn't have any standing. No, because the first one was disposed of on Monday, the only one remaining now is the overseas piece. And it's that being the case, it's very troubling to me, to answer your question directly. How do I feel now? It's very troubling because the broader message is that you, Michael Nita, I, Wilfred Rattigan, and people similarly situated have no rights in terms of bringing a lawsuit in Jamaica against politicians who they believe have flaunted the rules, violated laws, involved in corruption, any government action that you find distasteful. The broader message is that you don't have sufficient interest in the matter to bring the case before the bar of justice. And that's troubling, very troubling, considering that the Constitution gives us the right, if you're born in Jamaica, you're a Jamaican, unless you renounce. And renounce is a very ticklish process, because you have to, it's not something where you just say, I renounce and that's the end of that. You have to fill out paperwork, you have to go through the consulate or the High Commission or the through the ambassador, the embassy. And then you have to, I think it goes to the Ministry of National Security. It's a very involved process to renounce your Jamaican citizenship. In fact, in the passport, it says Jamaica recognizes dual citizenship. So what they're telling us then is that, yeah, we do, but you're a second-class Jamaican citizen. You're not a first-class Jamaican citizen. And so what you need to do in the diaspora is just send the $3.8 billion, come home and just shut your mouth. We will do what we need to do in terms of the issues you raise, because you don't have sufficient standing. Meanwhile, you have lots of people in the diaspora who vote in Jamaica. They have property in Jamaica. They pay taxes in Jamaica. And what they're saying to those people as well, if they don't have you have students living in America and Europe and whatever. So what they're saying to those people, even though they're temporarily here, is that you too, you don't have the right to bring the lawsuit because you live overseas. It's nonsense. So I don't know which one of them they're using. I know the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, they raised the issue regarding the rules, saying that you didn't get certified as a class. But that was disposed of last week, Monday. And here it is Sunday, we're seeing in the newspaper where they're saying that. And in her paperwork, she just said, I was right here, she just said, it said, I'm also advised by my attorneys at law and do verily believe that while I am directly affected by this matter, it does not appear that Mr. Rattigan has sufficient interest in this matter and did not see enough court to file a claim.
We have news for her then, but before we even get to that, you see where these people go and these folks, they want to control Jamaica and run it their own way, you know. That's basically what they tell us, you know. And, you know, when you think of it, it's a certain class mentality in a Jamaica, you know. If you come from below halfway tree, there's some limits on your rights and freedom and what have you. But if you come from uptown, you can do and say anything you want. You understand me? This woman who tell you, say you don't have the rights, I know, what a claim or what have you. I inherit a lot of her progress, you know, come from inheritance, you know, by way of her father, who was an active member of the Jamaica Labour Party. You understand me? No, I know the sufferation that you experience in Waterhouse, which we all experience.
True.
And whether you overseas 50 years, nobody should not rise up with place limits on your rights and your certain things. Them people want to control Jamaica around a certain way. And people look like you and I, we should just keep them all shut and not say nothing. Just, the question of interest. Are they saying that in order to express certain things or get involved in certain things, we have to be in Jamaica, we have to live and establish certain residence in Jamaica so that we can qualify as having a claim?
It sounds like, I mean, I don't know what the hell they're saying, because like I said, one issue was dealt with the adherence to the rules. That was raised on Monday. And they know too. They know that, look, even if you raise this one issue here about him didn't comply with the rules, they know that the rules provide for amendment to the thing. So that's a non-start. That's a joke. But the issue about living overseas now, that's not a joke. Because if that is the case, then all of us are second class Jamaicans.
Exactly. That's what I said. We are second class citizens. That's
Right.
how they want to treat us. You understand me? So, but I have news for them, And I have a question I want to pose to Miss Johnson. I would like Miss Johnson and the politician, them, to tell the Jamaican people what right they have to represent them in Parliament when most of them are not from the areas where they come from.
Oh.
They're not from the area. They live outside of the community and come in to design and manipulation and what have you, and get the chance and opportunity to run in a Parliament and get rich.
True.
You understand me? Get rich. None of them come from the community. And I am of the view that the constitutional reform process that them now launch, it should ensure that people who represent us, the Jamaican people in the Parliament, come from the district where them are represent. None of this thing where people from outside come represent us and represent our community. Man, this has been happening for so many years now. You get my brethren?
Yeah.
Get to this point. When I tell you from Waterhouse, say you can't bring a claim in the court because what? You live overseas. You understand me? It just don't make no sense.
It makes no sense.
How do you prove that, right, guy?
And then keep in mind, this is the minister who's in charge of Diaspora affairs.
Diaspora, yeah. How do I prove that? How do I really prove that? Say you have no claim.
They can't prove it. They can't prove it. They can't prove it. But what happened is that, and I've been telling people, them say,
you sure? Because then you see, what am I brethren? They can prove it by getting a corrupt judge, corrupt the system. And it's a known fact that corruption exists amongst the High Court and, legal fraternity. They will do that. I wouldn't put it past them. This judge woman basically, I tell you up front when she say, listen, I just get this case, but already I see issues.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know about, you understand me? But she already see issues.
Right.
Standing.
Right. And on the first page, it just says that my place of abode is Maryland, USA. And then I think it's the third paragraph says, I was born in Jamaica and I'm a Jamaican citizen. And she does say, well, I see standing issues here, So we just say, all right, fine, no problem. But here's the thing. The thing is, no matter what the judge, what she does or what they do, At the end of the day, if the case is thrown out as a result of standing, then what's going to happen is that we just appeal. And when it goes to the appellate court and we lose there, then we just take it to the Privy Council, because we'll keep the pressure upon this minister, you know. And that is the problem. That is where I think there's a certain amount of hurt as far as people, our colleagues, their feelings.
Hurt
Hurt in the sense that they feel like, hey, if I'd gone after Chang or somebody who people deem to be corrupt, then that would be one thing. But she's supposed to be like the squeaky clean and one of the closest advisors to the prime minister. So when you do that, now it's like they must say, rotted. If you notice something, none of the politicians them come out in support of her so far, you know. Nobody. Because them know what they must say to themselves. They must say to themselves, if she's so clean, or the perception is that she's so clean, and this man can dig up all them things upon her. We think him out. So you what now? Cockroach business in a foul fight. Make them go and do them other, and we just stay right there. So we support her silently, but we're not going to do it publicly. Nobody, not even the prime minister, come out since this thing filed and say, hey, you know what? This is a joke. In fact, there is a report out, and I don't know what true it is, that when the prime minister was about to make the so-called cabinet shuffle a week or so ago, that her head was on the chopping block to be moved. And then people raised hell inside of the meeting and said, no, you can't move her. You can't. And Favor stood up for herself and said, you can't move me from education neither. You know? So he hasn't come out and say, well then, he hasn't come out and say, all right, you know what? I support her, and what Rattigan is saying, what Rattigan is doing is just completely wrong. They haven't come out and said that, and I don't expect them to.
Well, that's good. That's good, because listen, that's one we are looking at this thing, but I don't underestimate the implication of what you have done and the impact. All of these guys know that if this thing get through the system, it means that Mary Jane down a Waterhouse can sue Mr. Hilton and bring him before to account for the millions him get over the years. Any MP. And they don't want that. You know, they don't want the account, that aspect of the accountability. They don't want that. That citizens become aware of what you're doing. You know, and that model that you really present to the Jamaican people. So a group in our community can say, listen, why don't we don't carry the MP go to court and force him to come tell us over 5 years him represent the community. Give the community a report. Them don't want that. Because most of them, when them do give a report, everything is summarized. A summary of this, a summary of that, but no details. So these guys know that there is some far-reaching implication behind your action. You don't think?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, right, first of all, I'm looking at the statute now, and it says 8.4. The general rule is that a claim will not fail because a person was added as a party to the proceedings who should not have been added. Right? That's one rule. And so it says if you put somebody on your claim and they shouldn't be there, the claim itself will not fail. All we do, we just move the person. Just take the person off. And that's what we did last week, Monday. So that's why I don't understand. Why is it that after all of this, now they go back to the journalists during the week and say, yeah, he doesn't have a claim. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. Which one of the claims are they talking about? Which theory are they using? Are they using the theory that I added people and the class wasn't certified? Or are they saying that, oh, he's not a resident of Jamaica and therefore he shouldn't be allowed to bring the claim? And you're absolutely right. The idea that citizens have the power and the authority through the Constitution and through Civil Procedure Act and various other regulations to bring an action against a government official, that's frightening. That's frightening because it hasn't. I don't think it has ever happened. I don't think it's happened in recent memory where you have a citizen who said, you know what, I don't like what you did, and I think you violated the law and regulations, administrative regulations, and so I am going to bring a charge against not only you but also against a couple ministries because they failed in their duty to have you comply as well, because they knew that you were breaking the law, because it was public knowledge that you received this gift and you didn't file. So they should have reached out to you as well and say, hey, you didn't file, and we all
Yeah,
know because it's on TV. Yeah, it's on TV, it's on radio. So you need to come in and put on paper. But here's what happened now, Nita. The real reason I think why they haven't filed, and that's why I say she's trying to throw out the case. If you notice, she's not saying here are my documents I filed, or here are my documents I will file. She's not saying that.
She not say that. No, she not say that.
She's throwing it out. And you know why? Because if she's allowed to file, which by the way, the rules, this is a big problem in our brethren, because the gift should not have been accepted until the cabinet approved it. Right? Yeah. The cabinet did not approve it. The cabinet approved her candidacy, and they approved expenditures from the public coffers. But the money, the $99,000, that should have been brought to the cabinet and say, hey, they're giving us this money and we will accept it. And then the cabinet should have approved it. They did not approve that, right? So she can't claim that that money was a government gift, because if it's a government gift, there's a certain procedure it must follow. It must go through the Ministry of Finance, and it didn't. It didn't. So she has a lot of problems. Anywhere she turn right now, she say Maka joke you. But here's a key. Here's what she said.
Yeah.
She said in her affidavit, she said, listen, that money, that $99,000 that you Mr. Rattigan, that you're talking about and making such hullabaloo over, she said that money came from third party in Jamaica, which we know. And she said, and that money was used to support a government-sponsored activity. She not said it wasn't used to support her. It was used to support a government-sponsored activity, a candidacy, right?
Yeah, man. The guys that's the guys.
And here's the key. Here's the key part of it. She said, and as a result of that, I received no gifts in either my personal capacity or my official capacity. She has to say that, because if she said she received it in her personal capacity, there are tax implications, there are integrity commission implications, Ministry of Finance implications. If she said I received it in my private, same thing. So what she said I didn't receive any gift. So now the question is, okay, well, let's examine the gift, because we know it was a gift. We know the $99,000 was a gift. Unless you're going to say the government give them some kind of services, which now you end up being a bribe. So it's a gift. So it's okay, now let's see who got that gift. Here's what she's saying. The government received the benefit of that gift. Even though she received the services, she says the government. Minister Morgan, in August of last year on Nationwide, said the government has nothing to do with this. This is between corporate Jamaica and a private company in New York for a government. Didn't say government, for an international candidacy. So him said the government have nothing to do with it. Follow the balls. No. She said it's the government that benefited. Him said, no, the government not benefit. So
contradictions right away.
Yeah, well, a tie. So we are going to break the tie now. And here's how we broke the tie. Fin Partners. What did Fin Partners say? Fin Partners in a number 4 upon them filing. The question is asked, name the foreign principal, because them is the one that provide the service. Foreign principal. And they didn't even give her a title. If they gave her a title, it probably would have made a difference. They didn't give her a title. Name a foreign principal, Kamina Johnson Smith. And then number 7, indicate whether the foreign principal is one of the following. And they have 1, 2, 3, they have 9, 10 boxes. So you can check which one off. They have government, foreign political party, foreign domestic organization, partnership, corporation, association, committee, voluntary, other. That's 9. At the very bottom, one box at the bottom, you know the box, individual. Yeah. And it says, state the nationality of the individual. They said Jamaica. So what they're saying is that we're not representing a government. We're representing an individual by the name of Kamina Johnson Smith, who's a Jamaican national. That's what they say.
They have to say it because they're not going to play with the American laws.
Yeah. They know so now you see how who get the benefit. You see how who benefited.
Yeah. According to Fin.
Yeah, and we know that's true because guess what? Like I said before, Christopherson, the Val Williams, Horace Jack, none of those people received the briefing. It was only one government official who received the briefing. And why did they receive the briefing? For an international campaign, for an international organization, not for a Jamaican organization. And here's another reason why Jamaica couldn't have benefited from it. When she said in our interview in June 7th of last year.
Yeah.
If she had become Secretary General, she couldn't show no special favors to Jamaica because she's there to serve 55 countries.
Yeah.
So she can't come and say, well, then you're going to load up Jamaica with benefits. And also the Commonwealth work. You can't do that because you have to serve 55 countries equally. So if Jamaica was entitled to a certain benefit, guess what? Whether it was Kamina Johnson or Baroness Scotland or whoever was sitting there, Jamaica would have gotten that benefit anyway. So Jamaica don't get no benefit from it. No,
but
except to say one benefit they got.
Right.
And the only benefit they got was the benefit to say that, oh, the Secretary General is from Jamaica. And does that put food on people's table? What that do? How that benefit the country?
Well, hear this now. The line that they use, government and whatever, is a common line people use when they want to get around certain things and mask certain things, I think most people listening to you right now, they're going to ask this question of, how did you come up on this case? Was it something you were observing for a while? How did you, of all the many cases out here, how did you come up? Because that practice, is a common practice amongst civil servants, When you go out and you come in and you put on a same government, this government, and nobody follow up, nobody now watched it. So the question is, how you come up on this individual case, Right. You must have been watching it for a while.
Well,
because you have to tell me, you have to disclose
that. No, I will. And this is the first time. And I'll tell you what, it's a very good question, and I've never been asked that question. I've been on many, many programs going back to last year. And nobody has ever asked me, how did you start? How did you get involved in this? What prompted you? Very good question. And I have to give you credit. You're the first person to ask me that question. I know everybody.
You know where I come from, So I don't think you expect anything otherwise.
Yeah. No, but that's why I laugh because and I've always said it to myself, how come nobody not ask me this? I'm going to say, well, since them not ask me, now I answer. But since you ask, I'm going to answer you.
Yeah.
I have a well-placed source in Jamaica, who sent me information. I had an interest in it when the thing happened, right? And I was listening to.
Listen, don't disclose too much.
No. I was listening. No. I was listening to Nationwide Radio when the minister came on, and when the minister Robert Morgan, when he came on and started talking, it just didn't sound right to me. And I started reaching out to a bunch of people in Jamaica and said, "How does this sound to you?" And a well-placed source sent me some things and said, she didn't file. And I said, good luck. And that's where my journey started. One time the person reached out to me and the person said, she didn't file.
Good luck.
Yeah. And then I started digging and access to information, started calling people, started doing this, started asking people to do favors for me, check out this, check out that, do this, do that. And then finally information came together. And I said, all right, fine. Because that source, I believe that source, a well-placed source. I believe that source. So all I did was I used that as, okay, this is my intelligence. No, I have to verify. No, this is information. No, I have to verify this. And all I did afterwards was just the verification process to show that she didn't file. And no, it resulted in her filing this document last week, basically saying, I didn't file. And she's saying, I didn't get any gift. So if you didn't get any gift, there's no requirement that you file a gift form if you didn't get any gift. The requirement is if you got the gift, you file. If you didn't get the gift, you don't file. She said, I didn't get the gift. So there's no file. So now we know that her disclosure to the Integrity Commission was fraudulent, was bogus, because she didn't claim the gift on it, the $99,000. We also know that with the tax people, she didn't claim it. And now she has to pay 30% on that $99,000, right? So she didn't claim it. And we know, and the one thing we know,
and she should have.
She should have. Yes. And then keep in mind that the government spent $42 million in total.
Yeah.
to support her because they sent a delegation to, and they would have sent a delegation anyway to Kigali, but they gave her $18.2 million. And listen to this. They gave her $18.2 million, and included in that 18.2 was a provision for PR services. PR services, which is exactly what she got from the $99,000 that went around the rules, right? It would have been two ways she could have avoided this. Two ways she could have. One, she could have said, and we know that the government knew about the gift before the gift was given. How? Minister Morgan said that himself. He said, we were approached by corporate Jamaica about supporting the candidacy. Right, and he said we told him that it would be we would welcome the help, we would welcome it, right, to help her. So they knew. So all of these rules about filing, if you're going to help the government, that should have been done, wasn't done. So they didn't file it. So what she should have done is she should have resigned. The moment they said to her, hey, corporate Jamaica wants to support you, if she had resigned, this would have been a non-issue. It wouldn't have been an issue because she wouldn't have been a government official, therefore she wouldn't be required to file. That's the end of the story. Or number two, once the story broke, she should have come out clean and said, listen, you know what, folks, I now know that I saw it was an oversight, it was a mistake, and so going forward, I'm going to file and we'll take care of this. And everything would have been fine, right? But here's the thing. Here's why they're refusing to do that. First of all, the cart is before the horse, because she already get the gift and she shouldn't have gotten the gift without the approval. The second thing, which is most important, is now they're going to have to put on paper who gave the support, financial support, and in what proportion, who gave what. Remember, they don't want to tell us who gave the money. Because wouldn't it be interesting if you find out that SSL, crockery, a scammer, a drug dealer, or somebody with a cloudy past put money inside and the government accepted that without doing the due diligence? Because no due diligence was done. No due diligence was done.
But a corruption, you see, why you really touch on, what you put your foot into is the next corruption people, the men, women who claim they represent us. Them just take over the state, control the bureaucracy, and just use it to advance their own agenda. You understand me, some brother?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they use it to advance their own agenda. I agree.
And now see them now them run up in you. Because I know you're not gonna drop this one. Yeah. I know that.
No. Here is something else. Here's something else that I want to explain again on your show, right? I have been approached by JLP supporters, representatives, what do you call them, minions, the people affiliated with the JLP party. I've been approached by them to drop the case, and in fact, they've even said, what do you want? Do you want an appointment or a seat? And I said to them, the only thing I want is for you to take care of the poor people. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Take care of poor people. Do the things that you're supposed to do and comply with the rules and regulations, and you won't hear from me. So there you have it.
You haven't heard anything from the PMP? What about the PMP? And I ask this question, because I have experience with me, you, and a certain gentleman. And when you start to raise certain things, it's like the gentleman shit them pants, So I observe, and I remember I said to you, these folks scared of you. I said to you after that experience, these folks are scared of you, someone like you. They don't want to have a guy like you and look down upon them, behind them still. They don't want that.
Well, if you think them afraid of me, now, get another 2 months or so, and then you really are going to see how them afraid of me, because we have the foundation, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Yeah. And The paperwork in Maryland was approved last week, and we get the EIN number that was issued. And then we submitted the whole package to the IRS for tax exempt status. So once they come back with the tax exempt status, then we're gonna start collecting funding, and that's when them really should have afraid of me, because there are things that we're gonna do once we find out there's somebody involved in a corruption. Because part of the mandate of the foundation is to look at good governance, and if we find out that there's bad governance, we're going to dig, and we will have the funding to dig.
Tell the people what this foundation is about. I sorry to interrupt you were saying, but in terms of the idea and the principle behind, because listen, I am for that foundation, my brother. The Jamaican people back home can hold them accountable. We overseas who in a certain position, we can play a big role in holding the Jamaican government and the politicians them accountable. So go on, my brethren, tell the people them the idea and the strategy behind this whole thing.
Right.
We are pursue.
Yeah, the idea came about as a result of excuse me, looking at how we approach bad governance. And the way we approach bad governance traditionally is that we raise our voices in the media, we raise our the print and otherwise, and we talk, we call it rumbar talk and this and that.
And then, this is the Jamaican people now you're referring to.
And even here, even overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk, but there's no action. We talk, and we said yes, they're doing this, they're doing that. So what happened was, when I filed the lawsuit, it clicked. It clicked before, but it really clicked when I saw the reaction to it, right? From government officials, or the lack of reaction, and and then the phone calls I got, and then the groundswell of support. I said, wait a minute, hold on, this might be the way to approach them, because then once you file a lawsuit now, they're in court, and this is a public matter now. And not only is it a public matter in Jamaica, it's a public matter internationally, right? Especially when you start dealing with ministers. So the foundation came about as a result of that. And the purpose of it is this. When a government proclaims to the people, especially before elections, and even during when they have the difficult time, say, we're a government of good governance, of transparency, of accountability, of openness, of fairness, of justice, of equality, and they don't adhere to those principles. In fact, they abridge those principles to the detriment of the people, then you have no choice but to hold them accountable and deal with it. And that is exactly what this foundation is about. This foundation is about, okay, if we, like, for example, that foundation would support this lawsuit. It would support this lawsuit and lawsuits like this. So we would then find jurisdiction wherever we can find jurisdiction, whether it's in Jamaica or outside of Jamaica. And we know that for some instances, we will find in jurisdiction outside of Jamaica. That is worrisome to them, because they have no control over the judiciary outside of Jamaica, right?
No, they're not control.
Yeah, big problems, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because in Jamaica, even if you want to take an objective view and say they don't have any control over them, they socialize with them. They join the same clubs, the kids go to the same schools, the same church, the same this, the same that. And, you can't rule out that kind of influence. But when they have to come to a foreign country now where they don't know anybody, then that's when they're going to really get objective justice. And you don't even have to think about it. So the thing is, we're planning to find jurisdiction wherever we can. We're also planning to do PR work. So we're going to hire PR firms. And if we need to, for example, the beach issue, right? My concept of it is that we do a commercial similar to what Sandals and all of them do, but you show the other side of it. You show the white people and all of the people who can afford to on the nice beaches, and then you show the black people them now stand up at the gate and look on the beach and can't go on it, and then you make the stores them know, say, this is what's going on in Jamaica. When you come and you support a Sandals, this is what you're supporting. You're supporting beach apartheid. Right? These people, their ancestors died for this country, and yet still they don't have access to the beaches, but you do. So we do a counter campaign for something like that. Also, and you're going to like this part. This part you're going to really like. And that gentle person that you mentioned like this thing. We plan to have an investigative arm. So we will do background checks, and we will have those background checks. And when the background checks, we're talking about a person's complete lifespan. everything that they've done, their assets, their liabilities, their criminal history, their travel.
With permission from them, with their permission,
No,
or
money don't need no permission from them. No,
okay.
we don't need no permission from them. No, we don't need no permission. So we will have all of those things. And can you imagine how powerful an item that is, how powerful that strategy is? When now you can take them to court, you can do PR work, and you can investigate them. Can you imagine how powerful, when a politician hear about this and him know or she knows that they've been doing wrong, and them get rotted, them man, I got dig up my background now. And now, what they'll do to me, I don't know. You know, very powerful. Sleepless nights, man. Sleepless nights. So,
And again, brother man, why you take on this road? Why you take on? Because
can we have time? We have time.
No, seriously. People must be wondering, this guy must be crazy or something, you know? Because knowing Jamaica and the corruption and market, I'm all for it, you know. I support it because we need that sort of watchdog organization, because the politician them, and not just politician, but a lot of people down there, I get away with a lot of stuff. You know, and people are suffer. You know, the condition where them all the people are live right now, you know. It's rough, man. A lot of people have things. So you putting yourself at risk, my brother.
No, I don't
you
think so.
That?
No, I don't think so. And the thing about it is that I haven't even considered it, because look, you see, I am where I am because of people who died for the struggle, right? And they weren't thinking about their lives. They just went ahead and said, look, you know, Martin Luther King said it best. He said, if a man hasn't found a reason to die, then life is not worth living. You know, there's some, and all of us, we all have a reason what we're willing to die for. Some people die for them car, right? Some people die for a woman, right? Some people die, people find things for life. Well, I'm willing to die for this cause. I'm willing to die for this cause so that people can have a better life, and the politicians can do what they were elected to do. I'm willing to do it, but it doesn't cross my mind. No.
Okay.
Part of it might be because I live here, you know, so I'm not really worried about it. Not that people can't do your things here, but it's less likely that they'll do you something here as opposed to if you live in, you know, if I lived in Jamaica.
Where we go from here? We got the foundation coming along. What the next step? Where we're going next?
The next step is that, you know, another source of mine told me, I was in Jamaica, and I said, you know, I'm gonna need material and things of that nature. And he guided me. He told me where to go to look for information. But then he said to me, listen, he said, if you can't find information, I'll find it for you. But he says, I trust you. I'll tell you this. Jamaica is a content-rich corruption country. So he said, there'll be no shortage of content for you. And, you know, he's right, because I haven't called him and asked him for anything in terms of content. He was right. So there is always something to look at. And so where do I go from here? Forward. That's where I go. I don't have side mirrors, and I don't have a rear view mirror. I just have a windshield, and I'm going forward. And because there's so many issues to deal with, I am going to deal with them. And like I said, one of the worst things for them, you know, is you have a determined person, you have a competent person, and that same person has time and resources. Very dangerous for them. Very, very dangerous.
I said that to you, but you know, today there is a feature in the Gleaner about you. Tell the audience, the listening audience, what you like them to know about you, Rattigan, the Rattigan that I know.
Okay. The Rattigan that you know, what they should know is that you and I used to go with our fathers. They used to pick up my father at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then they come down at the bottom, because there was a mechanic who lived further down, close to Spanish Town Road. So they would start picking them up from down that side, pick up workers, and these are men who bread salesmen and mechanics. They used to work for a bakery called Purity Bakery on Red Hills Road, and they would pick them up. And my father would take me on a Saturday with him, right? And your father, did the same job as my father. And so they would pick me up, and then they'd pick up a few people, and they'd get to your house, they'd pick up you and your dad, and then they'd keep picking up people until, then they'd head to the bakery. And then our job, then we had to go and load the vans. We used to drive a 3-wheel Lambretta. We had to load it up with bread and pastries and all of this stuff. And then at that early hour, our job was to then make sure that when people got up in the morning, their bread and pastry and all that stuff was on their, all those things were on their veranda so that they could enjoy their breakfast. But this was done under the cover of darkness, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, two basically children with their dads out there just doing this kind of stuff. And I didn't realize, growing up in Waterhouse, I didn't realize that people were suffering because everybody basically, were in the same boat. You had a few people had a little bit more than others, but by and large, people, we get by. But we weren't starving, but we got by. When I realized that there was something wrong was when I started attending Meadowbrook High School, because in those days, back in 71, Meadowbrook High School was a small school, and it was attended by people of the upper middle class, and rich people, right? First time I went to school, a white man or a Chinaman was when I went to Meadowbrook. And I saw how those people lived. And it was then I realized that, wait a minute, man, we really have it bad. Because where I came from, everybody had it bad, right? So, but we didn't know any better. And then when I started seeing how other people lived, I was like, man. And my life took a turn for the worse because my mother left to go to Canada. My father joined her, but then he was deported. So he came back, he had no job. And so my mother was the breadwinner, and she had to take care of herself, my father, and my 2 sisters, and me, right? And so I ended up moving all over the place because they wanted me to, when my father left, they wanted to send me to STETS, St. Elizabeth Technical. And I said, no, I don't like country, because she came from St. Elizabeth and she wanted us to go live with some of her folks. And I said, no, I'm going to run with it. So that's how I ended up in Meadowbrook. And then my father was in Canada, my mother was in Canada, my 2 sisters were in St. Elizabeth. Then my father got deported. And then when they left, they had sent me to live with a distant relative. And then I just kept moving all over the place. I left Jamaica when I was 17. And by 17, I think I'd moved like 14 times. I just kept moving. And it got so bad, I have to tell you this, it got so bad that when things got tight, because my father became, well, he was always a drinker, but I think he became depressed when he came back from Canada. Couldn't find a job. And then he became a full-blown alcoholic. So the money that my mother sent, he had to pay the bar people with. Little money was left to buy food. And then plus I was living with him at our neighbor's house at 39 Penwood Crescent. Our original home was at 41, and I eventually ended up at 39. I also ended up at 6 Penwood Crescent. As you said, the border for the war between the JLP and the PNP. But there was a time when, and there are people still alive who can verify this, there are times when I didn't know where my next meal was coming from for dinner. And so I would just go to a man's house. And there's one particular guy, and he laughs about it all the time. I'd go to his house, and I would I just know when the pot come off of the fire. And I would just go there and just hang out and eat and things like that. And then when at dinner time, he would have say, hey, Ratty, you eat, you're going to eat dinner. I say, yeah, if you not give me some food. And he say, come on. And we get a plate of food. The next day, the time the pot again, I'm going to go around there and we get a plate of food. But what I notice with people is that the first day that they're offering you, very enthusiastic. Second day, not so enthusiastic because there's less food for everybody now, right? So
Yeah, interfering on man food.
yeah. So what happened? I made it my business that you don't I had a rule. You don't go to somebody else 3 days in a row, go ask for food. So I would then go find another house and then go to stuff for 2 days and do the circ, the circ. And then sometimes I would even end up going to Maxfield Avenue over a relative of mine and get some food over there and hang out over there. I mean, I was all over the place, and that's why I'm known by so many people, because I've lived so many places, and so everybody, I claim a little piece of everybody, and in turn everybody claim a little piece of me, because them say, yeah man, I know the youth man, them used to there, so, and me say, yeah man, I know the man because I'm used to there, so, and then when I came to America, it was basically the same, because I get the first time I had a room that I can say this is my room was when I was about 18 years of age, or 19. And that was when my mother rented a basement, a 2-bedroom basement. And it's just the two of us, because my mother was a maid in Jamaica and she was a maid in America. So when she would work for some Jewish people and she would sleep in. So I was by myself. Now, fortunately, the people who owned the house, the lady acted like a watchdog to make sure that, I didn't stray. Because she would tell my mother, saying, bring woman in last night and bring them a friend. Yeah, things like that. But when I first reached America, brethren, I thought my mother had a place and everything like that. And when I got there, I landed that evening, and then we went to the house where she was staying, and then nighttime came for us to sleep now. And this is the first time I saw this. The man then pull out a bed out of the sofa, and a two big, the two of them older than me, the lady's sons, and a three hours sleep on the sofa bed. I mean, I said, but wait, me think would have my own room. I think things are going. Don't look where my mother asleep. My mother asleep on a lounge chair. That's our bed. When she come, she used to come and stay with the lady and get her a little money to stay there Friday, Saturday, and then Monday morning she take the train and she gone back and work at the Jewish people in place. My mother, not tell her the truth, man. And this is typical of mothers, of children in the ghetto when them travel. This is typical, because for the most part, a lot of them they don't have higher education. So this is all that they've been doing all their lives, taking care of other people, taking care of their children, taking care of other people picnic. And she did the best that she could, and she did a lot. I'm telling you, my mother should be an economist. Your mother probably should be an economist, because them squeeze the life out of money, brother.
Yeah, man. Our father come in and give them $20 and them spend 25. have more forgive, go back and work, man. We see that,
Yeah.
That is what make us different,
Exactly.
That experience that makes us different. So you come to America and decide the reality, and what next movement? School.
Yeah, when come to America, it was.
You could have gone on the streets, take up the drugs business, but you never do that.
No, I have lots of friends who used when me come them involved in it. But me just said no. And even in Jamaica, I could have pick up a gun. But there were people who had them things. But that just wasn't me. Plus, me get inspiration from mother, father, communities, teachers, everybody. Them said no, that youth, him not look like him in that gunman, like him cut out for that, look like a school youth. So them used to, even some of the bad man, them used to help me, give me money for me go to school sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
So when we come to America, I mean, find out say you could have go to school for free. I mean, because when I was in Jamaica, them say if you want to go UWI, you have to apply, and then you have to compete with all of the Caribbean islands and with the GCE. And so if you don't get in, you have to wait the following year. You have to wait, because that was when education was free on a manly. So them say you have to wait or you pay. No, we couldn't pay, right? And so when I came here and my mother said, well, you have to go high school, and I said, but me have some GC, and two friends of mine who attended Middlebrook, I met them here, and they were saying, no, man, because I came in July, I didn't do a college entrance exam. I came in July, and by September I was in college. And the guys, them said, no, man, you can apply and use a GC. And then them said to me, the government pay for you for go to school. And I said, maybe said to the guy, when you start next year? And he said, no, man, you start this year, man.
Financial,
I lie, man. I said July, no. Them said, when you start? Them said September. I said, we not for wait. And them said, no, you just go. And that's how school started. And I went to a school, John Jay College of Criminal Justice, because I had a friend who was going there. And that was that. School, football, woman, and that was my life. And just constantly I move around because we didn't have a place when I first came here, like I said. So I was moving between Brooklyn and Queens. I had a relative over in Queens, so I'd move over there, then I'd move back to Brooklyn, and but you do what you have to do. You just do what you have to do. You do what you have to do. And then it worked out for me. Lots of people it didn't work out for. Lots of the people I used to hang out with in New York, them dead. And them they're in prison. Yeah.
A lot of friends, we have lost a lot of friends.
Yeah, man.
People we know who tried the other road and them return, But I'm glad that you stay on that part there, because I'm familiar with that journey, I'm familiar with that journey and what have you. And I'm really, honestly, I said it to you before, and I'll say it here again. I think you should be the MP for Waterhouse for the whole West St. Andrew. I've been saying that to you for the longest while, I don't know how the PMP will draft you yet. And I said the PMP deliberately, because I think you'll survive in the PMP, You won't survive in the GMP.
Less corruption.
Well, it's not so much less corruption, it's more enlightened folks. Okay. More enlightened folks, because when you listen to what Kamina Johnson, when you read what she said, in this article, so she reached out to some. Well, let me say this before I say what I want to say. Bustamante did say selfish better than education. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
When they make them statement here, they might target certain people, certain ignorant people who will get riled up and say, that boy they are this gumpy and the boy they are this. You understand me? Them start to reach out to that element. And you have those forces, the element who will quickly, they will quickly come running up in their face and say, this the minister. You should not do this now, what have you,
Right.
The PMP, less so. You still find that, but there's room for debate. You can engage in a discussion within the PMP without having to think about why I have to watch Made Black. So I'm waiting for the PMP to recruit your brethren. And I shout out from the hilltop that you should be the MP for the area. You
make some people upset, man.
Some people might get mad and what have you, brethren. But listen now. The fence that you post, those zinc fence you post up behind you there, that is real, That is real. That is what people use to create a sense of security. Them regardless of all the fence, sense of security. This is my space and whatever. That is real.
That is security and privacy here.
You understand what I'm brethren? You understand what I'm saying? That's real. Miss Johnson not come from them place there. She don't know about them shit there. How much of the politicians them know about that? How much, honestly, think about it. How much of them know about that?
Not very many. Not very many.
And them want to tell you, say, standing and you have a claim. Say something wrong. Honestly, think, there's something wrong with them people who administer the state. Something definitely wrong with them, Yes.
But the thing about it is that, and it's funny you mentioned that, because you have some naysayers, you have some people who say, like you said, why am I this the minister? And why am I do this? And him do this because he never get the police commissioner job and him bad mind and all of that. And so what I said to them is that, okay, let's just say that I didn't get the job, and let's just say I'm bad mind. I'll give that to you. No, let's look at the facts. Is there a problem with corruption in Jamaica? The answer is yes. Should we do something about it? The answer is yes. And then I turn to them and I says, what are you doing about it? No answer. I say, you know what I'm doing about it. Regardless of my reasons. You know what I'm doing about it to end the scourge of corruption. But what are you doing about it? Instead of criticizing me, you need to join me so we can end this, so that our people who still there Jamaica, and people who will go back to Jamaica to live, that they can go back to a paradise that's safe and secure, that's healthy environment, that's economically attractive, right? You can't go back there because a lot of Jamaicans, them come abroad, and we know them come abroad for one reason, two reasons: education and economics. We know that, but once they make the money and them want to go back home. A substantial amount of the people living here would love to go back home and spend the rest of them days in Jamaica. A lot of people, but they can't do it.
Fear.
So fear and corruption and all this stuff. But no, so the conversation ends when I said to them, what you're focused on? You're focused on the messenger. You need to focus on the message and the action. Because it's not just a message, it's also backed up. The message is backed up. The message is stamp out corruption. The action is we're going to take it to court. We're going to embarrass you. We're going to go to the US government, the UK government. We're going to petition them to do certain things. We're going to do a background on you. And if need be, we're going to make sure so them lock you up, right? For use the American banking system or misspending funds or whatever. That is the action, right? And so you're right, and I think it's resonating now. I think more people are listening now than ever before, because this thing of social media is a very powerful thing, because the government can't control it as much as they'd love to. They can't instead now them ball out and say, the Prime Minister said, all we have to lie upon him, right? All we have to lie upon him, even though he has a bigger platform on social media than most bloggers. Him say we are lie. So if we are tell lie, then straighten out the lie then. But there's
no PM no mind, man. No PM no mind. Few days numbers. These days are numbered, Yeah. Because with this salary thing, it's like that is the nail in the coffin. This salary increase and what have you.
I tell you what, the role that social media will play in the next election is going to be pivotal, because you're going to have people like me, you, Lonesome, Stevens, Tavares, a whole bunch of people start push the information to people and say, don't take the bribe. Don't take the bribe, because remember when you go through for the last X amount of years, don't take the bribe. And I think that has sent shivers down their spines when them think about it and say, you know what, we don't have no control over the media anymore. We have control over mainstream media. But remember now, mainstream media only lasts for a certain amount of time during the day, right? Social media is 24/7 every day of the week.
Well, I think they're aware of it now, because them saw what happened in Egypt. They saw what happened in Egypt. But my question to you is, how can the diaspora, what role can the diaspora play in terms of getting this foundation up and running? What role can we play, the diaspora?
Well, what we have so far, we have 3 directors, and we hope to expand it to, I don't know, we have to have an unequal number, so I don't know, maybe 7. And we need representatives on the board from the population, the Jamaican population density areas. So we need people on the board from America, the UK, and Canada, and Jamaica.
And Jamaica important.
Right. We're going to have maybe we'll have 7. Maybe we'll have 2 from the US, UK, and based on the population size, US, UK, and Canada, and 1 from Jamaica. So we'll have 7. And then what will happen, the way it works is that issues like the issues we're discussing, like Kamina Johnson-Smith's issue, those issues will percolate to the board of directors level, and then they'll decide what they're going to fund and how they're going to fund it. And then once they decide that, then they'll just hire the people. Some people will be on what do you call it? The name just slipped me. Like you put the money and they withdraw as they go along. I can't forget it because we do it all the time. But anyway, so we'll have law firms, investigators, analysts. We'll have access to all of those people.
And one thing you should put in place is you should make sure that if people want to support you without showing them face, it is possible. Because a lot of people, given what is happening in Jamaica right now, I doubt anyone, not many people want to come be upfront in an endeavor like this, so people can make donation without revealing themselves. Is that something you're thinking of?
Yeah, because the only reason why the reason why we haven't launched it yet, because we have launched it in Maryland, it's approved in Maryland, is because of the tax issue. A lot of Americans will give more when they know that, okay, I can write it off of my taxes, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to
Yeah.
give money, and they don't want to give you like a $5,000 and know say, well, and them can't write it off of them taxes. But if they give it to you, if they give you that money, they can write it off, and that's the attractive piece to it, the tax piece. I mean, they're gonna give you because they're motivated to give you, but they'll be even more motivated when they know that they can write it off of their taxes. So that's a piece that we're waiting on, and then once we get that, then we're off to the race. Now, I must tell you that there are people in Jamaica who have contacted me and said, "Listen, I want give my $100 in a party. I want," including JLP members, They've contacted me, well-known JLP supporters. They've contacted me and said, "Listen, when it starts, let me know so I can just send you my $100." So if you get Jamaica, if you get 10,000 people from Jamaica, you're $100. You're all right. You're all right, because you only need 90,000 from the diaspora, and you're going to get your 90,000. And not only that, so like I said, some people they won't give you 100. Some people will give you 1,000.
And some people will give you $20,000 because the tax law permit Americans, individuals, citizens,
right,
to make tax donation up to $20,000 annually.
Right.
So that's cool. But again, I'm all for it, my brother. Jamaica needs something like this, Jamaica really needs something like that. But I worry that you're the only voice out in the wilderness, and the lawyers. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm talking about legal, legal professionals, legal professionals, because when you do something like this, I'm wondering all the lawyers back home, how them feel, knowing that they could have gone to the court and call upon the minister, and they haven't done that. They haven't done that.
Somebody said to me today, they said, you know what you've done? A very, very well-respected and well-known businessman called. He was the first person to send me the article this morning at 6:00.
Yeah.
And I called him and talking to him, and he said, "I'll be honest with you, He said, "You make us all look bad, and for good reason, because he said, listen, you are so far away, geographically and politically, from the issue. We are so close. We're here. We're the ones directly being, suffering as a result of this.
Yeah.
And yet you're the one who has made it. You're the one who you're the one trying to hold the government accountable in court.
Through the system.
Yeah, through the system. And them say, why is it that people down here didn't do that before? Why is it? And them say, yeah, you make way. Him say, we look bad, but we look bad for a good reason. We look bad because we should be doing it and we didn't do it. And thank God that you saw the opportunity to do it and you seized it and you did it. So hopefully now it will inspire people. But now what we're saying to them is that, instead of come up with the money to file a lawsuit against them, right? Just send your donation to the foundation and send us the information you have. We will take it on. I'm telling you, this government, they're so afraid of public attention. Because you know why?
No, let me correct you, my brother. Let me correct you. I think the entire political class in Jamaica is scared of you. You scared of shit. Man, you scared these fuckers, man. Let me just be straight up with you. And my listeners will agree. I witness it, my brother. Remember, I witness that shit, So, boy, keep on doing what you're doing, man. Go ahead, talk, man. Do what you're doing, man. I'm loving it. I'm love
Yeah,
as someone who grew up in the politics of the country, and I've experienced the politics of the country, the left politics of the country, right? And I was saying to a friend, in the 70s, we had the WPG as that critical voice out there. You understand? So you had forces who expose stuff and all sorts of stuff. Now, since the 90s onward, coming up, there's no voice out there, no critical voice out there, and it's like I agree with Jerry Small, what you're doing is driving fear up these fuckers' ass, man. They know that. Listen, I have to be careful because Mr. Rattigan, Mr. Rattigan, come on, my case and one, man.
No.
No. What do you think? Honestly, tell me now. Let's just be real, my Bridget. You don't think so? Rattigan, you saw how the damn gentleman react, bro. You saw it when you lift up that papers, and you went on and what have you. It's like, so I know what some of these politicians are going through right now. When they hear Rattigan name, they must say, "We're an FBI man that." We're there. You understand, Bridget? And it's a long time. You are now doing what the WPGA did in the 70s. You get me?
Yeah, man.
Holding them accountable. And we need to know more Jamaican will join in this effort, because it's not just hold them accountable. We also want to see change, fundamental change in terms of the governance.
Right. One of the things, and a dear friend of mine just mentioned it to me, is that because he had mentioned something about protecting people who provide support, and then we are obliged to do that. And so, like for example, we'll establish a portal so that people can see how the money is spent. They won't see who made the contributions. That's
good.
Just between
good.
So
good,
those people, if they made a contribution and they want a receipt for tax purposes, then that receipt will be sent only to them. Nobody has to know who. They won't know who sent money in. So I just wanted to, my dear friend here, she wanted me to raise that up and let people know that if you're going to give money under the Privacy Act, then nobody's going to know that. Nobody's going to know who gave the money. All they'll know is that the money came in and how the money was spent. That's all.
Yes, good. And they will also know that this is Jamaica focus, not a Caribbean thing, but this Jamaica focus.
Exactly. No, it's a Jamaica focus. Yeah, we can always change the focus later on, but for right now, we didn't want to be too ambitious because we said there's enough problems in Jamaica right now that we can deal with. And as you know, they say that if Jamaica sneezes, the rest of the Caribbean catch a cold, right? So if we can make an example out of Jamaica, when I say example, I mean clean up the thing in Jamaica, then Jamaica can then be the shining example for the rest of the Caribbean, But it's hard for us as a Caribbean nation to tell the rest of the Caribbean how to conduct business when we can't even conduct business ourselves. It's hard for us to tell them about corruption when we have major corruption in our country. So, it's all about.
Is it that we can do business, or is it that we do business in a fuck up way? The way we do business. You understand me? Our business have to be under the table and round the corner and what have you, right? Is it that?
Right.
Or we can't do business?
No, you know what? Jamaicans, I'm telling you, Jamaicans, by nature, I'm telling you,
business people,
very, very talented people. Even the criminals, extremely. If they would apply, their criminal strategies to legal businesses. And you've heard this many times. Boy, man, he just apply himself and do a legal business. Man, that be a multi. You hear it all the time. I mean, the way we think and our approach to things, Jamaicans always approach things as if, no man, nobody has done this before. Well, we are gonna start it then. And if somebody has done it before, we are gonna do it better. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
innate
Jamaican.
in our, that's
Yeah,
on our
that's
DNA.
true.
Yeah, that's
That's
innate in
true.
our DNA.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid to stand up and talk. I mean, because some places and sometimes hear some Jamaican and it's like they might chat the part to us sometimes and white people and they don't understand, but they don't care. They might make their
No.
voice be heard. They might express themselves. I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how we are. We're a
That's
powerful
nature.
people.
That's nature. That's why
Yeah.
I find, Camila Johnston, others, them all them act this, them sort of weird, because if them really are represent the people, them should know the people. Them should know the people and know, say, listen, you can get away with so much for so long. At some point, it is going, as them say, Jamaica have an expression where them use, say, what something about, I can't remember the exact, but it has to do with do things in the dark and come out in the light.
Right.
You understand me? So I don't know. And one of the way they do things in the dark is by using that statement, government benefit. It benefit the government. That's what they use that statement throughout the whole thing to protect themselves. When in fact they are the ones getting the benefit.
Exactly.
But just by saying government, they don't have to pay the taxes now, what have you. Just set a thief them, man.
And then nobody, and then the thing is that on another level, this generation of Jamaicans, a lot of them, we see apathy, right? Where they have the tools, to challenge the system, but because of a number of things, including fear, they don't do it. Because look at what happened during COVID when the youth they come out and talk about the prime minister and blah 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 blah, and then them go dig him out from under in bed. And yet still them have a top 200, and them can't find none of them criminals upon the island, right? The small island, them can't find 200 people, but them can't find a one man there. And how many times have you seen people come out in the public and made utterances against the government, particularly the prime minister? And then within the next day or two, you see him give an apology in a police station. But them can't find the people with them supposed to. So
they
people
don't
are very
want to.
fearful. Yeah, people are very fearful. And then times tough, brethren. Look, we have a whole heap of clients, and a lot of them are pro bono. Them can't afford to pay for the work. Them come across the southern border. Them risk them lives and borrow money. Some of them borrow money to end up leaving Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
And come across. And people don't run from things were good. People don't run.
No.
People don't run.
I think right now, under this prime minister, I think a greater percentage of Jamaican people leave the island under this administration, looking to get to America. It's rough for people out there.
Well, somebody could have made the argument that Anna Manley, when the democratic socialism movement started, that a lot of people, but there was a lot of rich people, a lot of well-to-do people, they left because they felt like, this would affect them negatively. And so they left after they moved to Miami. You didn't have a lot of poor people who moved because of democratic socialism. You had a lot of middle class and upper middle class and rich people leaving. Right? But no, is the reverse. You have a lot of poor people leaving because they can't deal with the stress and the strain of ordinary day-to-day economic living. Them can't find food. And so them just, we have clients down in Jamaica who ask me right now, I say, boss, get the money and me run across the border, right? And them ask my opinion. And I said, no, I can't give you no opinion on that, You have to make that decision between you, your family, and your God, right? I can't instruct you as to do that. However, when you get here, give me a call. If you get here, that's what I said to them. But people are run because of the economy right now. It's funny because the exodus in the 70s, you had the well-to-do middle class people who comfortable, not even well-to-do, but middle class people who ran in and up. Now you have poor people now who are run. Me no see no upper middle class people come through the southern border. You know why? Because them have visa. Them can come in and do them shopping and do what them have to do, and them fine. I don't see that. But the poor people who struggle. All right, Nita, think about this. Think about this for a second. You raise the minimum wage from 7,500 to 9,000, right? And then from 9,000 to 13,000. And now you have helpers, aka maids, who are being told that, listen, I cannot afford you to pay you 13,000 for the week. So I need you to come Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I expect that you're going to do the work that you do on the Tuesday and Thursday.
And Thursday.
Yeah, you're going to make up feet Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because you're going to do the same amount of work, but you're only going to get 9,000. I can't pay the 13,000. And we might say, well, that's wicked. But look on the civil servant part of it. So a lot of them get an increase, but the disposable income is less than what they used to have because they put them in a different tax bracket. And when name Knut Thompson, professor from UA, he came on the program and he explained all of that. He has a chart. And he said, Minister of Finance Nigel Clark said that nobody will be worse off. And he said, I can show you a lot of people worse off. Now, picture this. You making more money, but you have less disposable income, and now you have to go pay $4,000 more to somebody that work at your house. Right? You barely could have paid them the 9, and now you have to pay 13, and you take home less money. It don't make no sense.
The tax structure don't make any sense. The way they structure the taxes, that is what he's saying, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So because he must say it not trickle down to the middle class and to the poor class, because what happens is that the middle class cannot afford it. The middle class cannot afford it. So somebody who used to have 2 helpers, now they have to go just deal with one. And guess what? No, that one helper they have to go work like crazy.
Honestly, I wonder when Jamaica going to Europe, when the people going to get up and start demand certain things. I wonder because it's heading in that direction, you know. Right. Where them people are sucking blood, people and blood, you know, it's heading in that direction. One day the people going to rise. You know, them going to rise, and it's not going to look good for some. Well, you know, because the vengeance, the bitterness and all of that stuff, you know, Jamaica is a tough place, bro. Yeah, tough. If you're not a connection.
Yeah. And then people, and here's the argument that I debunk and dismiss. When people say, well, it happened over here, so, and it happened in America, and it happened in Mr. to them, say, hold on, let's narrow the focus. What are we talking about? We're talking about global economy, or we're talking about the local economy of Jamaica? Because if you want broad the discussion, that's a subject for a different day. But as long as you're talking about Jamaica, let's just keep it at Jamaica. Let's just look at what's happening in Jamaica. But when they say, well, it's happening in Ethiopia, and then try to make it seem like, well, you shouldn't really complain too much because other people have it difficult elsewhere. You tell that to the man who can't put food on the table tonight. Tell him, say, hey, you know what happened? They have a place named Africa, a continent named Africa, a country that they name Burkina Faso or whatever. And a man over there so now have no dinner tonight. So, you know, you're alone. So, you know, just take comfort in that. That is, you're not the only person. Him don't want to hear that. And him shouldn't hear that. So, I resent that when people start making comparisons to Jamaica and say, well, then, you know, the suffering is happening elsewhere. And because one of the reasons is that I say, well, it doesn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen, and it doesn't have to continue happening. Because we have so many.
You know, it doesn't have to. You know, we have so many resources, so many talent, but guess what? We have a bunch of thieves who sit at top, you know, and just suck everybody dry. And while doing that, if you observe, you know what I see happening in Jamaica right now? Family clans. If you look at what is happening, you know, family clans. Pernell Charles and Bruce Golan, you know, Pernell Charles and Bruce Golan, they're related, you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Pernell married to Bruce's sister.
Okay.
They have 2 kids in the parliament. So that is one clan, you know, the Charles clan. Now another clan is Douglas Vaz and his wife. Okay, the Vaz clan. Next clan, Andrew Holness and his wife. 2 sit in the parliament. And if you'll find more family connection there. But
let me ask you a question. Are the Samudas related, the outgoing and the young one?
Yes. Samuda clan also. You understand me? So you have the Samuda clan, the Charles clan, the Vaz clan, and they are, man, they're looking fatter and fatter every day. But yet still, they are the same one. You see that they use the pen to rob the Jamaican people. They use a pen. Yet still, they are the same one telling young people that they mustn't go look at food. You understand me? When they have no other option but to look at food. They are the same one telling them. So I say Jamaica is going to Europe at some point. Jamaica, Europe, you know, because the security down there, the poverty and the frustration drive a level of fear, you know, and the cost of security down there is so much. I have a friend who operates an entertainment venue on the North Coast. And when I learned of his security budget for the event, I was like, man, in 1 year, it's like the budget double. You get me? The security costs. So Jamaica over Europe in Umbridge. You don't think so?
You know, we had a discussion in this vein last night, and they were saying that they call it critical mass. But
yes,
then
I heard
asking,
Jerry was.
Yeah, and I was trying to find out from him, okay, what will it look like? But then somebody told me today that, you know, it's a good question, but it was not a good forum for that question because you don't want giving away, you know, strategies and stuff like that. And I understand. But in my mind, I'm trying to figure out what would be that triggering event. You know, would it be a hike in price? Would it be somebody being shot? I'm just trying to figure out what would cause the population to suddenly say, okay, enough is enough. When is that enough is enough moment? What is it gonna look like? I don't know.
Well, I know in the 1930s, you know, I think it was the shooting of a man at the Frome Sugar Factory, which sort of triggered that strike, lockdown, all of that place. I'm not sure, but some act of injustice will be the trigger, you know, and it might not be because the way the police deal with crime and order, you can see the brutality there, you know. The way the politicians are dealing, you know, you have this one named Warmington, him don't give a fuck about what anyone think or say. Him just do his stuff. So I think the trigger will be some act of injustice. What form? I'm not sure. But I know the frustration level in Jamaica is very high. And that's why you see Holness trying to maintain this bravo and bullyism posture in the hope that they can ride on the fear and stay in office, you know, because they know the fear result in low voter participation and they can use it to their advantage and all that stuff. But to answer your question, I will have to get a social scientist to answer that. You know, but I think it's going.
Herb Gill up at UA.
Yeah, Herb Gill. I probably have to reach out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has to. But historically, you know, it was all just a sing event. You know, the Arab Spring started with a man with it pushing his cart and he was brutalized, and they just mushroom into something and rolling thing from Morocco right down to Egypt. So I'm not sure. The salary increase, it stirred a little. Some people came out and demonstrate. But Jerry says it's not any one individual. You know, it always be an alliance of folks that come together to make up this critical mass. Huh? What organization? I'm not sure.
Well, Jerry was saying that it's not going to be organized. That was his point. That it doesn't have. It's not going to be, and it doesn't have to be. It could be just a general a general dismissal of the government. People just say no, enough is enough, and it just happened, organically. That's his thing. I happen to view it a little bit different, but be that as it may,
Tell me your view. Share me. Tell me what you think. You say view it different.
no, I think, and again, they said where you stand depends on where you sit. And essentially, I guess where you sit depends on where you stand. I come from the perspective that you plan. You just don't run into things willy-nilly. You plan, and then you have your plan A, then you have your plan B, and even if necessary, you have a plan C, right? And then you what if, but you can't what if things to that, because if you what if, then what too long, then there's inaction, and you don't need that. But then you need leadership as well. You can't have people looking around like, who's going to lead us? You need some kind of leadership, and it doesn't have to be one person, and it doesn't have to be one organization, but you're going to need some collaboration and some coordination, some organization, because otherwise it will be chaotic. And the critical mass, I'm thinking, when it says critical mass, could critical mass be the election, where people just say, all right, you know what, enough is enough, we'll get rid of them? Could that be critical mass?
I doubt it. I think a critical mass, from what Jerry's saying, Jerry's talking about an organic sort of movement, rising up from amongst the people. And I think he's saying that because those of us who involved in the left politics of the region, we have tried organization. We came forward with that notion about you need to have a vanguard group and critical mass of people steering the stuff. It has proven dangerous, because we saw what happened in Grenada with the organization, and once they get power, the New Drill movement, once they got power, then power became a source of conflict among the ranks. So I think Jerry is looking forward to a more organic thing coming from the bottom up. You understand? People from different spheres, whether in the citizen associations, in the church, just coming together spontaneously. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, his point was that don't look for it to be scripted.
Never.
Yeah, he said, don't look for that. It's just gonna happen, and when you see it, you'll know it. It's just gonna happen. It's like one of the famous Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court cases, when they were talking about pornography, and one of the judges said that I can't define it, but when I see it, I know it. So it's like one of those things where he's saying, I can't define what critical mass will be like, but when you see it, you'll know that it's here. Herba, call me.
Yell him up for me now.
Once.
Yeah, the critical mass, I would say I stand with that person, that judge.
Yeah, I'm feel you up,
Yeah. The critical mass, I don't know, my brother. I don't know. I can't. I would have to talk to Jerry some more, find out what he really mean by that. The organization having people. People have tried that model, Radigan, before. They have tried that model. Most of the communist parties came out of that model, organization, group of select people trying to steer events and what have you. But 1938 in Jamaica, a critical mass throughout the Caribbean came together, critical and changed Jamaica.
Because I guess I'll just wait and see what it's like. In the meantime, I'll just continue doing my thing. But let me just point something out to you regarding Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. This is the same lady, who turned down the art. I don't want to say she turned it down, but she was a spokesperson for the refusal to accept the prison deal from Britain, which Britain turned around and gave it to Rwanda. And it just tells me, what that tells me is that it to me, can't speak about anybody else. It showed that incident showed her ineptitude. It showed her to be a sophomoric diplomat, right? It just showed that she just didn't have the acumen to deal with this. Because if I were sitting there, right, I would be saying, okay, this is how much money you put on the table. I would be negotiating with the Brits. And I said, okay, we have one of the highest murder rates in the world. And you're asking us to build a prison and take all of the prisoners, Jamaicans in Britain. Well, I tell you what, we need prisons here because we have prisons without proper sanitary features. So what we'll do is, let's see if we can get the EU. Let's see if we can get the European, the Canadians, the Brits, the Japanese, the Germans, whatever, and let's come together and see if we can work out a plan whereby we maybe can build like maybe 2 smaller prisons or 1 big prisons. But the money that you're giving us, it's not enough to do it. Instead of just rejecting it, right? That's what I would be. I wouldn't leave the table until we have an offer. So no, she was responsible for that, and she took if you go back and read her comments, they kind of took a dismissive note. Like, no, we don't want it. It's either take it, they're like, no. They didn't say what they want. They just said what they didn't want, right? And it was kind of dismissive. No, this is the same lady who people overseas can't get their passports through PICA because the passports are being hoarded, stored by a lot of high commissions and embassies and consulates all over the worm. And
that is happening?
Yes,
Jamaican
man.
passport?
Big problem. Some of the high commissions and the embassies and the consulates, they're sending the passports back in time to PICA for processing. PICA is just sleeping on the job. Some of the high commissions and the embassies and the consulates, they're not sending them to PICA.
Wesley Harris, WhatsApp audio.
Them just store them up. So PICA doesn't have those passports. Now, what you think she would do, because this is such a huge problem, and when I say it's a huge problem, it's a huge problem. And you think that as a minister, she would go over to Horace Chang long time ago and iron this up, because remember, she just didn't get this ministry. She's been placed there since 2016 after the election. She got this job, right? Mm-hmm. She didn't get this job from another JLP person, another JLP minister. She's been there for a long time. So you think she would, and being that she studied at the feet of her father, who was a renowned diplomat, right?
Yeah.
You think that she would be able to go over and talk to him and say, look, let's iron this problem because our people are suffering. They can't get their passports on time. This is nonsense. She doesn't. I don't know. There's so much inaction on her part. Then you have this filing here. Then there are about 4 or 5 issues with her. 4 or 5 issues. I can only think of like 3 right now, but they're like 4 or 5. So it's not just this failure to file. It's just failure all around. Just failure all around.
And you know why? Because they do not care. They just don't care. For them, it's a position of authority. That's it.
You know what? You mentioned authority. Another point came. It was under her stewardship and leadership that they disbanded whatever the Diaspora group was in 2020 and established the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Youth Council as well. And what happened in 2020? She handpicked most of the people.
You're joking. Are you serious?
Hold on, man. You think me around, man? Nah, my things them, brother. No,
Because I know Delano Franklin did set up a thing, you know, the diaspora body, you know.
No man, she believe me when I tell you, I was gonna talk about it yesterday, but I didn't get a chance. I had it here, but she actually handpicked, especially the youth members. She handpicked them, and
No, man,
people,
you're joking, man.
sure. Look,
It wasn't a democratic vote.
some people were. Oh, here it is. We'll find it.
Yeah, how many people? How many people on that body?
Hold
How
on,
many
man.
folks?
Hold on. Give me a second. Let me find the chart. In fact, all right, see them. See, they have the UK has 4 people on the council. They have 2 members of the Diaspora Council and 2 members of the Youth Council, right? They have, all right, put it to you like this. They have 28 members, I think, on the council, right? And she 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 6. It says here, first cohort of youth leaders will be appointed initially by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. She did that on her own, right? Because I have the chart right here. I have the chart, and it shows exactly what she did. And then they have the election. They have the election, and what happened now is that they're picking, they're supporting the people that they support are people that kowtow to them, right? They don't support people. They wouldn't support up somebody like me because me gonna be problem for them, you know. Them no want that, right?
No critical mind.
Yeah, but I want to read you something here. Where I want to read you something where a diaspora member wrote.
Yeah.
She said, "All right, legal issues," and this diaspora member is a lawyer, and she said she just posed these questions. One, does this new council, this was back in 2020, does this new council, which reports to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade and admittedly represents the government of Jamaica and the diaspora, amount to the establishment of a shadow government in the US, UK, and Canada? And then look at the organizational chart. Next one, are elected or appointed members in the USA in compliance with the Foreign Agents Registration Act? No, we know that to be a fact. They're not in compliance. They're going to go to prison, one of them there. Third one, what are the activities of this council? And 4, are these activities in compliance with federal laws and IRS regulations? And she put here, for example, former Minister of Education conducted a tour of the US with support of members involved in this Jamaican government diaspora structure for the sole purposes of establishing a 501c3 exempt corporation. They raised funds to be deposited into a foundation in Jamaica for the benefit of Jamaica's children. It was later discovered that this effort, initiated by a high-ranking Jamaican government official, was part of an illegal scheme which could have implicated otherwise law-abiding U.S. citizens. And she goes on to raise a whole bunch of things. And she's right. She's right. So them set up this thing, them set up this diaspora council, and it's government. They report to the government, and the thing about it is that they don't. I'll give you an example. The person who's in charge of the Northeast, she's in charge of your region too, you know.
Yeah.
She come from, I think, from Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, DC. I don't know if she got to Virginia, but she's in charge of the whole thing. I called her, right? And I said to her, look, you're my representative. I need you to come on my program and just talk to us about diaspora affairs, not about your personal affairs or
Diaspora.
about government. Diaspora affairs, right? Which I have a right to do.
Yeah.
She wrote me back and she said yes, no problem, right? She'll do it. Then she came back and she said, the week she was supposed to come, she said, unfortunately, I cannot do it because I have to do onboarding and transition things with the ministry, and therefore I won't be do it. So what me do? Me call my sources them. Them say there's no such thing as onboarding and transition. What happens is that once you get elected or you get selected, then that's it. You just do your thing, you have your meetings, and that's it. So she left it like that. Then she go on and said, she has to wait for the ministry to tell her when all of this will be. No, I asked her, when will this onboarding transition period end? She said she have to wait for the ministry. She not wait for me, our constituencies, She wait for the ministry to tell her when, so that she can move forward. Well, the gentleman who introduced me to this lady, right? Him called me and said, how things are working. I said, no, man, I'm explaining to him. Him go to her and said, yeah, madam, man, you have to go up on the man program, or otherwise him will kill you. She said, you can't, how you going to tell a man like this with so much support in the community that you can't come on the program because of onboarding and transition from the government, and you have to wait for the government to tell you. Meanwhile, she was already doing interviews with other people, So me know say me are the issue, right? So the man tell her, say, you have to go. You have to go. So now she write me and say, all of a sudden she write me and say, oh, I'm available, right? I'm available. And she'll come on, must have the 17th or something like that. Because she can't run from me, She can't run from me. This is not like me ask a politician in Jamaica for come on the program, and you basically at their whims and caprices, if them decide or not decide. She cannot afford not to come. Because she live in another region, and she know that all we have to do is put out the word, All we have to do is put out the word, and she'll be ineffective. Well, right now she's ineffective because what happens is that these people will not raise the issues that we are raising with the government. They will not. And you know how we know all this? You see when any government officials come on, and the ambassador, Archmarks, when she have our town hall meeting or whatever, people like me, them don't want to take question from. We know people who them bar from come on the platform because they don't want them people to come on because of worries, my dance. Because we're going to ask questions because we may just start out and say, hey, listen, we're family, and if there's a dysfunction, we need to discuss it. I mean, and we're all at the table right now, so why should I walk away and go talk about somebody behind them back and the person sitting in front of me, and the person is a family member? What are we at Jamaicans? Make we talk. And we talk straight. And them no want. The last time the Prime Minister come here, me pepper him with questions. I know them doing at the chat room. Them divert the questions them to the ambassador's private box, so that the rest of the people them couldn't see my questions.
Well, let me tell you something. This gang, these thieves and crooks, they will do anything to hold on to power. Yeah, and I hope you understand that. They will do anything to hold on to power. And they're going to find the little puppets and place them where they can place them, who report back to them directly as to what, and will carry out them games. That's why earlier I said to you, be careful of the ignorant ones, because those are the ones they're reaching out. Right. Just be careful of the ignorant one. But I want to get you asked a question about the critical mass earlier, and some people, some who are watching, some people, folks in the audience have made some comments which I want to share with you. One individual said that Johnson, Kubinia Johnson saga are the trigger. That is the trigger right now to bring the critical mass. The same individual said critical mass equal the least amount of people to start a chain reaction. And that same individual said Rattigan is the catalyst to the critical mass. And you laugh, but that might be true, my brethren. Man, the Jamaican people have been waiting a long time for an advocate like you. Serious, take it from me, man. The ordinary Jamaicans been waiting for years for an advocate like you. Because
Nita, I mean, you know me longer than most people. I mean, you know me from back in the 60s, right? And you said to me today too, when you said to me about the article, what I should do with it, I said to you, and you said, you're too modest. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't come down this path for self-aggrandizement, self-recognition, importance, none of that. I came down this path because of the suffering being endured by communities like the ones I came from. And when I look and I say, but it's not necessary suffering. It's not like it's not like the country going through a crisis and you tell everybody, band your belt, tighten your belt, because we have got through a crisis now and what are we, we are one. No, you see the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fortunate to be in a position where I have the time, right? And I have some skill sets to analyze and talk about certain things. And the one thing I'm not short on is confidence, right? I can talk to anybody, right? I don't have any issues with that. And when like, for example, right behind me, right on the street from this place, and I have a cousin and him family, John, a first cousin, my mother, brother, son, and still live at Waterhouse, right?
Yeah.
Now people who still live at them places, yeah. And when them tell me about the hurt and the pain and the suffering and the disappointment and the despair and the hopelessness, I mean, those things trigger something in me and say, you have to do something about it. You can't just sit back here and enjoy your comfortable lifestyle and say, well, you know what, may escape, make them try and escape. No, it don't work like that. I am my brother's keeper, right? And so I took it upon myself to say, you know what, I'm going to try to do something about this. And every journey starts with the first step. And changes begin in the minds of one person, man or woman, right? And if I'm that person, then so be it. But I didn't start out seeking to be that person. I just started out seeking to be a voice for change. And like I said before, if should there come a point where they take care of the poor people, then there's no need for me. Because that is why I got involved in this, for the government to act responsibly and do what it contracted to do with the people. Because when the voting process is a social contract, it is, we will vote for you so that you can address our needs. But what's going on is we have voted for them and they've taken care of their own needs. So they have breached the contract.
It's a social contract with a bunch of lawyers who know the system. And they're the one who set up the rules.
And that's why you need somebody like me. I'm not the only person doing this, and I hope that we'll be joined by many others. Because, I mean, we have had a certain skill set now that we can look at a document and we can analyze it. Or when people speak to us, we can look beyond the string of pearls, the words.
Yep.
We can look beyond it and parse it and say, well, okay, what does this mean? And we can ask the right questions. A lot of our people in Jamaica right now, a lot of them, they hear and it just sounds good. When a man can talk, and it don't sound like him repeat himself, them say, what man bright, and him used to $10 words, why man bright. But if you ask them, Wim just don't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. And that's where we come in to say, Wim just don't tell you, is that I'm going to screw you. That's why him just don't tell you. And let me explain to you how am I going to do it. And then you break it down to them. That's the purpose we serve. At least one of the purposes that we serve right now is to be able to analyze information and disseminate that information to our people so that they can
be a voice and be a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah. Because if nobody stands up for them, if nobody stands up for them, it's business as usual.
Yeah. And come to think of it, I'm motivated for the very same reason, because people ask me, why am I so big on Waterhouse and what have you? And I said to them, listen, Waterhouse is me and I am Waterhouse forever because of what I have experienced and people and the suffering and the violence and what have you, So I agree with you, man. We have to be a voice for the voiceless. Or else these guys, they come in at the community or them going a different community. I am just rip left, right, and center. And while doing that, they have the biggest smile on their face. Try.
We talked about the clans, right? When was the last time your politician said, I'm going to take somebody from a disaffected community, right, and I'm going to train that person. That person is going to be my understudy. I'm going to take that person to Parliament with me, and so that they can understand the whole
You crazy?
process. Yeah.
Are you crazy?
When was the last time you heard them say, I'm going to try to develop the skill set in this community so that these people at some point can take care of their own destiny? They won't need me. When was the last time? Some people might say that's suicide. Why would you do something like that? But that's development. That's development. And so the development is bigger than the person, right? But they don't do that. What they do? Them bring in them family members and
you know why?
friends.
You know why they don't do that? They don't do that because they do not want to share the spoils. They don't want to share the power, the authority that they have. You know, they don't want to share that. They want to be in a position where they can dominate people's lives.
Well, you see, that's why when you said to me, hey, you should have, you should be the MP down there. I laugh, but I mean, it's a good point because here's what happened. If I were to become the MP at Waterhouse, you think would I treat Waterhouse like all of the MPs them treat Waterhouse before? No,
Never.
Because of my people, I my place that, and it's my responsibility and my duty and my honor to take care of them people there.
I'm going to pose a question to you. Have you seen any politician that come into the community and help the people them start their own business?
Waterhouse?
Yeah.
No, sir.
You're not going to see that. They'll come in and hand out. But to help residents start their own business, they will never do that. No. Because that represents organization of the people. And they don't want us to be organized. Mm-hmm. They don't want the people to be organized. As long as we're disarray and disorganized.
And dependent. As long as we are disorganized, in disarray, and as we're dependent, that those things satisfy their purposes.
Of course.
Right.
And that's why they forever will try to hold us back. You know, they want to put on the laws and what have you. And man, it's a sad state of affairs we're bridging, but we can't give up. No. We still have to push along, you know.
No.
Again, I tell you this, my brother, take it from me. The ordinary Jamaican people been waiting for a voice like yours for a long, long time. You know, since the 1970s, you're the first one around, man. And on that article, I'm serious, bro. That article, you should frame it. Because that's one of the problems with us, you know. We do a lot of work, but we don't document it. And as a result, our children know nothing about the work that we perform. You know, we don't document it. And so I urge you, get that Gleaner article, have the Gleaner article, frame it and send it to you, man. Put it up on your wall because what you're doing is so essential. You understand, my brother?
I want to read you something. Hold on then. I just want to read you something that I said yesterday. Because you were saying that, you know. Hold on 1 second. Just give me a second. I wasn't planning on doing this, but you said something that does trigger something in me. You know, you just mentioned that we can't stop now. You know.
We can't stop.
Okay, all right. Here it is. It's it. All right. This is something I said yesterday, and it's worth repeating. I said, protests are going on, markets are being burnt down, roads are rivers and craters. Promises like fixing the water problem since 2016 have gone by the wayside. Poor people are risking their lives on a perilous journey to enter the US via Mexico because of hopelessness, despair, and poverty. And those who remain behind are suffering like never before. And despite Jamaica's approach to being a failed nation, we are not going to give up because that's our piece of the rock, our jewel. We are going to continue to fight for dignity. We are going to continue to fight for pride, for happiness, economic success, safety and security, education, housing, healthcare, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's ours. And that's all we have. If we abandon our efforts, our inept, greedy, and corrupt leaders will continue to sell us out to the bidders, not even the highest bidders. And this has been going on for ages. And we will be a ship without a rudder and a failed engine. The struggle will continue. This is what I said yesterday.
And on that note, I want to thank you very much, my brother. You know,
always a pleasure.
you're my co-host, you know. My co-host, I really thank you, you know, and I hope the listeners found something, you know, well, something they can chew on. Listen, if you want to stay in contact and learn when we are broadcasting, just like and subscribe to our channel, Waterhouse Vibes. You know, these two brethren from Waterhouse, we gather on Sundays, we just talk our talk.
Exactly.
You know, and our talk is
Real
rooted
talk.
in-
Our talk
Yeah.
is real talk.
real talk, because it's not a book thing. It comes from real life experience in and outside of Waterhouse, and Waterhouse is our anchor. So thank you very much for taking part. I see we had quite a few comments here, and look like we are connecting with some people, Brother Radican. So until next week,
Yes,
same
sir.
time,
Take
4
care, sir.
p.m.
Bless up.
Waterhouse Vibe. Love my brother. Cool.
Bless up. All right.
Yes, I.